What's up guys? Welcome to AnimeKouhai. If you'd like to help me out, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.
In addition to possessing the ultimate skill, Dino is an expert in hypnosis. Still, it appeared that Zegion had left Dino in a hallucinatory state, something that shouldn't have been conceivable in the first place. However, it was impossible to rule out the possibility completely. It was still possible that Zegion could employ illusions strong enough to trick even Dino if he also had an ultimate skill and was skilled in mental attacks. Dino was also aware of Zegion's power. He was a strong insectar humanoid and of the Demon Lord seed. The Demon Lord Rimuru preferred him, and he had developed remarkable fighting skills. Zegion was said to have learned from Veldora and to have fighting prowess even greater than that of the Primordials. That was Zegion, the one everyone acknowledged as the labyrinth's absolute king. Zegion used his immense strength to destroy the Imperial Army invaders as they entered the labyrinth. Dino had seen the fight at that point and decided that Zegion was unbeatable in hand-to-hand fighting. The crucial thing to remember in this situation was that he had only engaged in physical combat. Not only had he not used an ultimate skill, but he had not even appeared to utilize a unique skill. He had not used any mental or spiritual attacks.
Is his distortion field ability by itself powerful enough to get him to the ultimate level?
However, Dino, who was skilled in mental attacks, believed that it was still controllable because it was a physical ability. All that was in his thoughts at this time was the party from the other day. Zegion had been given some sort of power by Demon Lord Rimuru that day. He'd led his followers who had shown themselves in combat to an evolutionary ceremony that awakened them under the pretense of a festive reward. Indeed, a few of them, like Gabble and others, had become far more powerful and had fallen into an evolutionary slumber. It was no wonder Zegion had learned new abilities. It was a phenomenon akin to the Harvest Festival for Demon Lords.
That is strange, though, isn't it? How is it possible for even his minions to advance to the same realm as Lord Rimuru? If a Demon Lord's subordinates are at the level of Demon Lord seed, then I can understand, but when even his minions are at the level of an awakened Demon Lord, that's just way too much cheating.
Even Dino, who had lived a very long period, could not have predicted this phenomenon. Not even Guy would have done something like that.
Well, I have so much to say about him. It's crazy that he uses the Primordials as mere subordinates to begin with. Anything that he does shouldn't even come as a surprise with a person like that.
For a few more moments, Dino raged against Rimuru in his head. He could have been halted in his tracks by those three girls, the strongest demons alive. With a primordial as an opponent, the superiority or inferiority of existence values may not be a dependable determinant. In Dino's opinion, Rimuru's acceptance of such beings as his minions was absolutely abnormal. Dino believed that it was best to avoid involvement as much as possible. Even so, he could compare the Zegion before him to those primordials. It was obvious that he was foreign. He was no longer just a million class. His imposing presence exuded an air of limitless strength. It was an aura that only people possessing ultimate power could give off. A power that was greater than numbers. It also meant that Zegion had acquired an ultimate skill, just like Dino.
I hate working because of this.
Having gotten the short end of the stick, Dino regretted it. With a sigh of resignation, he attempted to find the best course of action, but time waits for no one and it was difficult to come up with decent ideas. Dino had been contemplating for a while when Zegion approached him with composure.
Do you have anything else you want to say?
He inquired.
Didn't you just hide from me all this time to force out my cards? Stop being ridiculous. That's dirty.
Dino was the first to voice his dissatisfaction, putting his own activities thus far on hold. Though he was merely venting, it would be advantageous if the other person became enraged.
That's absurd. This is a battle.
Zegion was unconcerned, as expected. Dino came to the same realization, and the discussion came to an end. Tension erupted between the two. Zegion's strength was known to Dino. Dino had an advantage here, but Zegion had also seen through his trump card. There was nothing else to do but go head-to-head in such a situation. With melee combat, Zegion is an expert. Moreover, it is quite possible that he has an ultimate skill, even though this is unverified. Dino, though, is an expert in mental attacks. No, Dino's abilities are not restricted to that if he employs his secret talents, but he didn't want to reveal them in this labyrinth.
Though I have already revealed many of the trump cards, it would still be a great loss to do so.
Furthermore, Dino foolishly believed that it would be acceptable to simply flee.
Why don't you make an attack?
Zegion's remarks were really distressing. Dino almost stiffened at the question, but he fought it with all his strength.
Hey, don't discount my abilities. Whatever happens, I will remain an octagram pillar. There is no way I could lose to a small chick like you after surviving for so long.
Then he lifted his large blade to a great height and swung it down in Zegion's direction.
Take this and die. Fall and strike.
There was only one lethal strike delivered, there was no exchange of blows. Dino, being a lazy man, did not want to waste such a brilliant move, but there was actual strength to this fallen strike tactic. Additionally, Dino used his unique skill, Sloth, to enhance his swordplay and develop the Phantom Flow style. He could dominate the battle by interfering with his opponent's perception. The unique skill, Sloth, had evolved into the ultimate skill, Sloth King Belphegor at this point. The Phantom Flow style had gotten more precise and potent, and the effect was unmatched. Dino had a terrific sense of combat even though he was a bit of a pain in the ass. Yet even so, Dino had come to the conclusion that engaging Zegion in close combat was still not a good idea. The Phantom Flow would not be possible if his own powers failed. There would be no more reservations in such a scenario, so Dino used his special technique. This was the Fallen Strike, one of the few conventional sword techniques of the Phantom Flow style, and it held Dino's complete intentions. The idea was to render his opponent helpless. Its unique vibrations, which evoked negative emotions in its victim, might cause the subject to lose all hope of survival with just a sight of it. It could not be disregarded as a hallucination or an illusion. The feeble-minded could not withstand it. The only people who could endure the attack would be those whose mental strength was great enough to obtain the ultimate skill. It was hard to escape damage even then. Physical destruction would also result from Dino's will of laziness that he had poured into this strike. The negative vibrations would come from all directions, even if one managed to avoid it. The target's energy would be depleted just by being near them, and their capacity to fight would unavoidably suffer. It was then just a matter of seizing the opportunity and severing the enemy's throat with his sword. Dino could confidently unleash the heaviest strike possible with this method, which may fool opponents into thinking he had 3 or even twice his strength. Eliminating Zegion without taking any chances was the wisest course of action in this case. Dino was hesitant to do so, but he was unwilling to cut corners in order to make things easier.
A direct hit would not spare even Gi. Can you then handle it?
With confidence in his blow, Dino smiled. Zegion has likely been surprised by Dino's sudden use of a major move, as he has always only ever seen his lethargy. Dino was certain that everything had gone according to plan. Zegion, though, did not move. He had plenty of time to cope with it. It wasn't that he couldn't react. Zegion confirmed Dino's sword trajectory and intercepted it right before it struck him. The mythical grade greatsword, Kuzurekiba, which descended from heaven, possessed enough strength to break every substance on earth. Zegion deftly parried such a blow with his Hihirikane-infused left-hand exoskeleton.
Foolish. You didn't even try to avoid my sword, but instead faced it head-on. I've won this fight.
Dino yelled. This was the moment when the sluggish act he had been putting on finally paid off. Though, in all honesty, he only liked to think of it that way, it was neither an act nor a performance. It was the fastest strike that Dino could launch right now, but Zegion was able to parry it just in time. This was inevitable because larger swords typically lost speed. However, the power was incredible in return. Zegion had caught it with one hand as if it had been a simple attack. It was impressive in and of itself. For the time being, though, Zegion's left arm must have taken a serious blow.
Although it doesn't appear to be broken, his left hand will probably be useless for some time. He's still standing there, so I'll just have to wait.
Dino thought to himself as he observed Zegion's apparent lack of concern. Nonetheless, Dino prevailed in this match. Zegion's distortion field is incredible, yet it is limited to shielding against physical assaults. Zegion would be directly hit by Dino's ultimate fallen strike, which would pass through all material barriers.
This is my win because I was able to trick my opponent into thinking I was using a large sword to deal physical damage when, in reality, I was using a deadly mental attack.
Zegion is a powerful being. That is why Dino knew Zegion would look down on him to demonstrate how powerful he was. Since Zegion was skilled in close quarters fighting, he knew he would not dare to evade the blow.
Man, give me a break. Since the bracelet will undoubtedly bring him back, I should get Ramirez as soon as possible.
Dino spit that out and turned to face Beretta. However, there was a pause at this time. There must be a problem, he thought. Beretta, for one, was not afraid of Dino. The fact that Dino had utilized his trump cards meant that, in addition to the numerous battles, he had a low magicule count left. Even though Beretta would never be able to compete with Dino, he had the victor's composure in his gaze. It was unsettling even if he couldn't see his actual face behind the mask.
Do you believe you could defeat me?
You must be kidding. I'm not thinking of winning. You're just not my opponent.
Dino felt a sharp cold rush through him as soon as those words were spoken. In a panic, Dino glanced back at Zegion. Yes, there was definitely something strange about the motionless Zegion. Zegion's left arm was similarly of a mythical grade strength because he had not been broken by a blow of such caliber. If that was the case, then his willpower was on par with that of a spiritual life form, and it was not surprising. Though past concerns had raised doubts, it appeared reasonable to presume that he possessed an ultimate skill.
No way.
I would like to know if your strike has a delayed effect. Or did you really believe that one hit that doesn't even tickle, like a breeze, would be enough to defeat me?
Dino thought, damn it. Zegion was without a doubt the possessor of an ultimate skill. It was unclear what kind of power it possessed, but it was strong enough to counter Dino's spiritual attacks, at least.
You thought I had an ultimate skill, didn't you? If that was the case, you ought to have taken more than one swing at me rather than adopting such a gentle stance. Your laziness is the reason you lost this time.
Stop acting like you've won.
Zegion extended his left hand in response to Dino's yelling. 5 flashes of light flew out of his clenched fist as it opened wide. It was the dimension ray of Zegion.
It hurts.
Dino reacted as fast as he could, just avoiding a life-threatening wound. But from the elbow down, his right arm was amputated. He wanted to cry out in agony because it hurt so much, but just now was not the right moment. His gut was telling him that if this kept on, he was going to be seriously hurt.
It seems that you possess an ultimate skill after all. You neutralizing my fallen Thanatos surprised me. Does this mean that you are not susceptible to mental attacks as well?
The deadly mental assault that Dino had included in his Fallen Strike was called Fallen Thanatos. Even if the target was a clone, it would still have an effect on the main body from a distance as long as the enemy had a mind. It was an unstoppable force that could not be avoided. Zegion was hit, but he still appeared as though nothing had happened. It made sense why Dino found it difficult to accept. It was necessary for him to solve this puzzle in order to win, or even just get out of this place. Dino knew he'd never get a response, yet he couldn't stop himself from asking Zegion.
I'm not required to respond to that question.
Zegion was ruthless, of course, but the answer came to him in a chilly voice.
But I shall answer for you, you miserable creature. That is, the mystery, this so-called dream. I've had you in the palm of my hand from the start. Keep in mind that mental attacks are ineffective against me since I am the Mist Lord, King of the World of Illusion.
That's it for this video, guys. Thank you for always watching my videos and supporting my channel. A big thanks to the AnimeKouhai patrons who made this video possible. Alfonso Smith, Donald Williams, Moab A, Sesh, Guy Ensley, Simon Rode, Emperor WSA, Mika Espinosa, George Hage, Pratik Bandari, Ara Dare. Thank you so much for helping out. I'll see you guys in the next video.